Thank you, Mr. President. It's been a spirited debate, and a lot of things have been said, and a lot of the bills we debate in this chamber in my time here sort of straddle two sides. There's the practical and there is the philosophical. Generally on the philosophical, we're not going to see eye to eye. Sometimes on the practical we may, but apparently even on this today, we do not see eye to eye. Practically speaking, you've heard a lot of criticism or talk about fear-mongering. Well, it's fear-mongering to suggest that the minute the moratorium expired, the landlords were hauling people out of the apartments and evicting them. That is just not happening. We all know that. Most housing courts aren't even open. They're not even able to process the evictions that would be there to begin with. They're going to be backlogged for a better part of a year. There are landlords that would love it if evictions happened that quickly, but they don't. That's the reality. Nothing is more fear-mongering than suggesting there's mass evictions, like one paper did this morning, as if the 12 hours that has elapsed between the expiration of the moratorium and when we could get ourselves here to Albany, that somehow tens of thousands of people are going to be out on the street. That is simply not true. It's not how it works. We've heard about COVID. We need to do this moratorium because of the pandemic, for health reasons. COVID is not going anywhere. Yes, there's the Delta variant, there's peaks and valleys, but we have no idea when we will be out of this pandemic. So are my colleagues who use the pandemic suggesting we're going to just keep extending the moratorium as long as COVID is with us? We heard a lot about disparaging comments. I wasn't here for some of them, but I will tell you, when I hear things like money-grubbing profiteer, that's a pretty disparaging comment. I think about the Air Force veteran who lives in her car. She's a money-grubbing profiteer, I guess. She just happened to be one who served her country, but she hasn't been paid in 2 years. She hasn't been paid in 2 years because of the inaction of the majority and their former ally, Andrew Cuomo. She hasn't been. We have not got this money out the door. And today, it wasn't my ally. You know that to be true. If you can call him if you want. I don't have a cell either. But I will tell you this. We want people out there tonight to believe we have not been able to get this ERAT money out there in the past 17 months. But somehow, we're going to get it out in the next 4. I can't even believe my colleagues across the aisle believe that's true. We're going to be right here come January having the same debate, only then it'll be, well, now it's cold outside. We can't put people out in the street when it's cold outside. There's going to be, COVID's still going to probably be here, I suspect, unfortunately. So practically speaking, what are we actually doing? All we're doing is extending the moratorium. That's all we are solving at the moment. Despite everyone in this chamber realizing the crisis that was out there, and we have billions of dollars. Somebody said, it's charitable to do handouts when times are tough. This has got to be one of the biggest handouts. Billions of dollars to keep people in their homes. Most landlords don't want to evict people who are paying. They want people in the apartments. They want people in the units. So nobody would be happier than the landlord if this money was out. They would be not even made whole, because they won't be made whole. But the tenants, they would be up to speed. They'd be paid up, and they would have a roof over their head. So when we're drawing parallels, the moratorium solves the problem for the tenant, for the time being. But it doesn't solve it permanently. It doesn't solve it permanently. So practically, this bill does nothing. It just kicks the can down the road, as has been said numerous times. But very quickly, philosophically, because this is just as important, there are people on this floor and in this chamber and in the other house who simply, this isn't about COVID, it's not about a moratorium, and you can hear it in the arguments. They don't believe in evictions. Evictions fundamentally are wrong. Private property owners do not have the right to evict someone for their property. And that is, we are never going to agree on that that is the position. And that is clearly the position. I believe this is just a slow roll to canceling rent. We've effectively canceled it as of now. It's been canceled for 2 years. No one's paid. And some of my colleagues talk about we got to buy time to get the money out the door. We need an incentive. People aren't going to go for the ERAP money if there's no incentive. I have recommended and suggested to the previous occupant of the second floor and the current, let's get OTDA employees in housing courts. Right there. Sir, you're facing eviction. Sign up for the ERAP program. We'll get you taken care of. Boom. You're good for the next year. But no, we're not doing that because that's not really the goal. The goal, and as has been for some of my colleagues, has been to demonize. If we're going to talk about demonization, they have demonized landlords and property owners since the day they showed up. And maybe that's good politics where they live. Maybe that is. But it's bad policy. It is bad policy. We are heading for a housing crisis in this state. We are eviscerating rights of private property owners, and we're doing nothing for the tenants because they won't have places to live. Because the people who own these places are going to walk away. They're not going to fix them up. That's happening right now. And we aren't doing anything to solve it. There's a lot of points made across, a lot of talking points on both sides, a lot of bullet points. But the fact remains that in the 17 months since this pandemic has been going on, we haven't gotten anywhere near the money we should have out the door. And this legislature today wants us to believe that over the next 4 months, we're going to get it all out the door because we have a new governor. So I hope she's watching. I hope she's watching because I had hoped better from her as a part of this negotiation as well. And we'll see. I bet we'll be back here in January having the same debate because it's not about ERAP, it's not about OTDA, it's about ending evictions, good cause evictions, it's about undermining property rights. That's what's going on here, and don't take my word for it. Look at the words of members of the majority. Mr. President, I vote no.